Hey gang, it's JC, and this is your Daily Dose for Wednesday, September 1st, 2010, a cooperative venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Brentwood. You can get us on your mobile phone now. Archives up there, Dave Murray's weather forecast, and the audio of the Daily Dose on iTunes for you as we roll on with our 15-month paid vacation. Now, I told you a couple of weeks ago about this sort of goofy thing I did. I lost track of my old grade school buddy, Paul McMurray, years ago. I hadn't seen him since I think it was 77. And so I was fooling around on the internet a couple of months ago, located him in southern Wisconsin, and a couple of weeks ago I drove up there and we sat and just basically BS'd with one another for a couple of hours, and we just had a great time reminiscing and talking about what our lives turned out to be, what we thought they might end up being back when we were kids and stuff like that. Well, he's punching around on my website. He didn't know anything about me. Punching around on my website, and he sees all these celebrity photographs. Dustin Hoffman, Meryl Streep, you name it. There I am sitting with Sylvester Stallone, all the biggest names in show business. The only one he was really impressed with was Super Dave Osborne. And I was like, really? Yeah. And so I called Soup up a couple of weeks ago. He called me back. We talked about it. He got a huge laugh out of the story. And so, Paul, if you're watching up in southern Wisconsin, this is on its way. Here it is, an autographed Super Dave Osborne photograph with an inscription. There it is, Mr. Lucky. That's his nickname. Paul's nickname is Mr. Lucky. So there it is. So this is on its way. It's coming your way. And we thank our buddy, Super Dave Osborne, otherwise known as Bob Einstein. All right, a report in the paper says 26 St. Louis City school teachers, because of some sort of administrative screw-up, have been getting paid while doing nothing. Hey, that's my act. Back off, sister. President Obama phoned George W. Bush last night right before he delivered his big speech about Iraq. W was pissed, by the way. Obama called him right in the middle of SpongeBob. Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher were at the Snoop Dogg concert in Vegas last weekend. And at some point in the show, they got up and they started dancing around. And Demi Moore, they said, was dancing really sort of suggestively. Other people said downright dirty. Well, look, if Snoop Dogg can still play a gangster rapper at 38, then Demi Moore can still play a club slut at 47. I say it's fair. I've never seen America's Got Talent in my life. But I'm watching one of the shows, one of the entertainment shows, and they show this little 10-year-old kid from Pittsburgh, Jackie Ivanko. So last night, never thought I'd ever hear myself say this, but I recorded America's Got Talent and watched this kid, and I'm speechless. It's so unbelievable that there was stuff all over the internet that absolutely insisted that she was a fake and that she was lip-syncing, that she couldn't possibly have this voice. So the little kid just basically, in a bunch of news reports, just started singing for the cameraman. And they were like, holy crap, you can really do this. I've never seen anything like it. I have never, I try not to speak in superlatives too often because there's too many people doing that and they mislead you and they get you all worked up with a bunch of phony hype. This kid, I've never seen anything like it. So watch this space. All right, The Hollywood Reporter. I've talked about that before, and people have said, you keep talking about The Hollywood Reporter. Who is he? Is it a he or a she? I'm like, no, it's an it. The Hollywood Reporter is a major show business trade magazine. It's called The Hollywood Reporter, not one guy. Anyhow, somebody deep inside that news organization started spilling their beans about Dancing with the Stars, because you've heard this lame lineup that they have of people who are going to be Dancing with the Stars. Here's some of the people they tried to get but weren't able to get. Sylvester Stallone, Ann Coulter, Condoleezza Rice, Erin Brockovich, who, by the way, still looks gangbusters. She was portrayed by Julia Roberts, and she's pretty good looking. Richard Branson, Tim Allen from Home Improvement, Suzanne Summers, and Kirstie Alley. They also were asked, well, who are some of the people who are trying to get on who you have no interest in? And one of the names was Melanie Griffith, and the other one was the Octomom Nadia Suleiman. So just when you look at the lineup and you're like, wow, they don't have any standards at all for who's a celebrity, it turns out they do. When they announced that Jimmy Fallon was going to be hosting the Emmys, I sort of was like, geez, I don't know about that. Well, he did a great job. I thought he was fantastic the other night, and the Emmys finished #1 for the week. The Miss Universe pageant, by the way, number 24. Kelsey Grammer says he's interested in doing a Frasier reunion or maybe a new spin-off series or something like that. He's got that ex-wife with the irritable bowel syndrome, and she's going to ask for a lot of money in that divorce. Kelsey's already knocked up his new girlfriend. How very Republican of you. All right, I'm going to tell you a little story about something that happened at spring training. Because they announced that Mark McGwire was going to be the new hitting coach, and they did a couple of can't really call them news conferences because they were really controlled environments. Then he did the Bob Costas thing, and my feeling about McGwire is he cheated. He's still in denial. He's saying, well, yeah, I did the steroids, but they didn't help me. It's like, right. It's like Jessica Simpson said, like her tits didn't help her become a successful singer. It's like, come on, get serious here. But when we were down at spring training, McGwire was, reasonably accessible to people, and I was with Tony every day for, I think I was down there 5 days. And standing right there, people were asking questions. I asked a couple of questions. But the question that I wanted to ask that I didn't ask, because it was the sort of thing from dealing with Tony over the years, I just knew that he would have exploded, the top of his head would have shot off, and the Cardinals would have pulled my press pass. So I didn't ask the question. But the question I wanted to ask, and I think probably a couple of other people wanted to ask too, and that is, here we are at the beginning of the season. Got a clean slate. And McGwire, Tony is so incredibly defensive about McGwire. He would be answering questions before we even asked them. That's how defensive Tony is about Mark McGwire. My question was going to be, here we are at the beginning of the season, what's going to be a fair way to assess the effectiveness of Mark McGwire as the Cardinals hitting coach? And then I figured maybe we could look at that at the end of the season, see how they did, and then see how Tony's criteria for the assessment of McGwire as the hitting coach matched up to how he did. Well, I never got a chance to get the question in, but boy, do I want to ask it now. Because, the Cardinals, they haven't even had a lead in a game since the first inning against Washington on Saturday night. This is Wednesday, and they've been outscored. I don't even want to look at the number. I have it written down here. I want to look at it because it'll just piss me off. So the question is, are Mark McGwire's feet going to be held to the fire at some point in this whole thing, whether it's now or at the end of the season or what? And is that fair? Talk about that more down the line. All right, Bill Cosby tickets are going on sale Monday, September 13th at 10 o'clock. He's going to play the Fox Theater Sunday, October 24th at 3 p.m. Seems like an odd time for a show. And as much as I like Christmas and, I'm not ready to hear that the Trans-Siberian Orchestra is coming back to St. Louis. Those tickets go on sale Friday, September 10th at 10 o'clock in the morning. They're playing the Scott Trade Center on December 30th. I don't know, by December 30th, I'm pretty Christmased out and I'm ready to move on. It'd be like getting your Valentine's Day card in March. I don't know about that. Used to live next door to a woman who was an editor for WebMD. And with healthcare costs being what they are and people being uninsured, you got germs when you go into a clinic and, long lines, difficulty getting appointments and stuff like that. So it probably shouldn't surprise anybody that according to a new study, 60% of us, 60, try to diagnose our illnesses online, and about half the time we think we're sicker than we are. One of the big mistakes, people who only have indigestion that think they have heart attacks and go into the emergency room. Shady Canyon Golf Course in Irvine, California. Very nice area. So this golfer is out there over the weekend, and he puts one into the grass, and it's very dry. It's at that very arid environment out there in Southern California. So anyhow, he's in the grass, and he's got a chip shot to make, so he gets his iron out, and just goes whack, okay? The club hits the corner of a stone. The stone produces a spark. The spark ignites a bush, and set 2 whole hillsides on fire. 200 firefighters, 7 hours to put out the fire. This is what scares me about golf courses. There's too many things that are nice that I feel I could mess up. The carrot industry. There was one. The carrot industry is trying to get kids to eat more carrots, and so they've come up with an advertising campaign, $25 million advertising campaign, to try to trick kids into thinking that carrots are like Cheetos. I'm not making this up. That's what the release said. Eat them like junk food is their slogan. They're going to have carrots in vending machines. They're going to have billboards and iPhone apps. All right. We've seen those studies, especially recently, about all the idiots out there who, think that Barack Obama wasn't born in the United States, that he's a Muslim and all that sort of stuff. I think it's like 18%. Amongst Republicans, it's much higher. And amongst Tea Party members, they're too wacky to understand how to fill out a survey. Anyhow, it's not the only stupid thing that Americans believe. For example, according to that same Pew Research people group, that whole thing. Actually, this was Gallup. Sorry, Gallup. But still reputable organization. 18% of Americans believe that the sun revolves around the earth. That was sort of disproved by Galileo roughly 400 years ago. 1/3 of Americans believe in ghosts. 30% of people in Texas believe that dinosaurs and people existed on Earth together. And there's still 6% of Americans that believe that the moon landing was a hoax. And we've talked about this before. One of the people who believes that is your former St. Louis star running back, Marshall Faulk. I don't make stuff like this up. All right, today JC's Eye Candy is pretty darn funny because maybe you've seen the infomercial for this thing called Camis Secret. It is a piece of cloth that women, especially big-chested women, can put in here to sort of hide their cleavage. And you can adjust it, have it up or down or whatever, and it keeps you from having to wear a camisole. So we have that infomercial for you, but right next to it, we have the new parody of that commercial. But turn down your speakers if you're at work, okay? All right, JC's Video Village. We're getting a lot of great response on this. Went back to 1986. I went out to Los Angeles for a week to hang out with Pat and Vanna on Wheel of Fortune. 42 million people a day watching that show back then, and we did the first 3 parts of a 5-part series, and those are up on JC's Video Village. I'm surprised how good this looks after all these years. JC's Wayback Machine, back to Art Holiday when he was a sportscaster in 1986. The dude hasn't changed. All right, that's it. That's your Daily Dose for Wednesday, September 1st, 2010, a cooperative venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Brentwood. In the meantime, we've beaten this one to death. Have a good one. See you later. Bye.